Hello and welcome to the opening session of Breaking the Oligarchs' Grip, the Athens Dialogues. This inaugural event takes place both online and offline here in Athens today and tomorrow and over the weekend, and it's co-organized by the City of Athens, the Center for the Study of Oligarchs, and the Andreas Papandreou Foundation. It's a great pleasure now to give the floor to Mayor Haris Doukas, who will do the welcome remarks for the opening. Thank you.
Dear friends, it's a great honor and a real responsibility to welcome you to the opening of this international online conference, Breaking the Oligarchs' Grip, the Athens Dialogues. This is not just another academic meeting or political discussion. It's a serious and urgent conversation about the future of democracy and about what each of us must do to protect it. That is why the City of Athens is proud to help organize this event together with the Center for the Study of Oligarchs and the Andreas Papandreou Foundation. Because democracy doesn't protect itself, it depends on us. Oligarchy, the rule of the few over the many, is one of the greatest dangers facing democracy today. It gathers wealth and power into the hands of a very small group. It uses public institutions for private benefit. It creates a society where privilege matters more than fairness, and where the strong grow stronger while everyone else struggles to keep up. The roots of these problems run deep. They include inequality, corruption, unfair use of political power, and people feeling cut off from public life. Too many citizens no longer believe that their voices matter, and when people stop taking part, democracy weakens. There is also a false idea that some people are simply better, more capable, more deserving just because they are rich or well-connected. This is how oligarchy justifies itself. But perhaps the most dangerous kind of oligarchy is the one that hides behind the mask of democracy. Yes, Greece is a democratic country. Yes, we have free elections and a democratic institution. But in recent years, we have seen something worrying. Democracy being used to weaken itself. Since 2019, power has been pushed closer and closer to the Prime Minister's office. Public television and the national news agencies were placed directly under government control. The National Intelligence Service was also put under the Prime Minister. Then, in 2022, we learned that opposition leaders, government ministers, and even senior military officers had their phones secretly monitored by the state. And what happened? The investigation was blocked, independent authorities were attacked, the justice system was pressured. These are not small issues. They show how easily power can be abused, how the law can be bent to serve the few, not the many. At the same time, public money is often directly to a small group of powerful interests. Take the 31 billion from the RRF, the EU Recovery Resilience Fund. This is supposed to be a fund to help the whole economy recover after the pandemic. However, it finally went to large corporations, while small and medium-sized businesses, the real backbone of the economy, received little support. Taxes remain high on everyday goods, and the chance to improve your life falls. And of course, control of the media, one of the oldest tricks of the powerful, has only increased. Press freedom in Greece has dropped to one of the lowest levels in Europe. Democracy without free journalism is a democracy that cannot breathe. That is not only a Greek problem, of course. Around the globe, around the world, oligarchs act across borders. They influence elections, shape public opinion, and even block action on global issues like climate change. When leaders such as Donald Trump withdraw their countries from the Paris Climate Agreement, they serve the interests of a few, not the needs of the planet. So the question is clear. How do we break this oligarch's grip? The answer is simple, though not at all easy. We need more democracy. We must take our institutions stronger and more open. We must ensure that government decisions are transparent and fair. We must protect the independence of the courts and the freedom of the press. We must spread power more evenly, giving local communities and ordinary citizens a real voice. We must stop monopolies, limit the power of big corporations, and create fairer systems of taxation. And we must make sure that public money serves the public good, not private interests. But even all of this might not be enough without one more thing: active citizenship. Democracy lives only when people take part, when they care, when they speak up, when they work together for what is right. We cannot leave politics to politicians alone. Each of us must play a role by asking questions, demanding honesty, and standing up for truth. When people unite, they can make change happen. We saw this when Panos Routsis, a grieving father, went on a hunger strike after losing his son in the Tempe train crash. Because thousands of citizens stood with him, the government and the courts were finally forced to act. That was democracy in action, not in the hall of power, but the hearts of the people. So let us remember, the fight against oligarchy is not someone else's fight. It belongs to all of us. It is a fight for fairness, for justice, and for dignity. Because in the end, democracy is not just a system. It's a living bond between citizens. It is something we must protect every single day. And the only force strong enough to break the oligarch grip. The only force is us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And now Professor David Lingelbach from the Center will give us his remarks. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Katerina. Thank you, Harris, very much for your nice remarks. I am David Lingelbach. I am the founder of the Center for the Study of Oligarchs. Who are the oligarchs? How do they think and act? What causes them? And perhaps most importantly, what should we do about them? These are the questions that have motivated this first ever conference. A little bit of background about how we got here. The idea for this conference first began to take shape in late 2023 when Valentina and I met George Papandreou at a Council of Europe meeting in Germany. We met again on Samos in summer 2024 when we saw the need for a separate event addressing this important topic. George recruited Harris to join the cause in 2025, and Harris had this really brilliant insight, which was that we should do all of this here in Athens in conjunction with October 12th, when Athens, Greece, and the world commemorates the 1944 liberation of Athens and Greece from the Nazis. Recognizing the practical limitations and the need to draw in a diverse global group of participants, we opted for the free online event we have before us over the next 2 days. We live in a world now dominated by oligarchs. 48% of the global economy today is generated by economies run by them. This includes 6 of the top 20 economies: China, the US, Russia, Indonesia, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia. We are now in the midst of a transition from the post-war liberal, rules-based international order that most of us grew up in, and it's the only order that we've known, to one that we would call the oligarchs' world order. Unfortunately, the world order that oligarchs are building for us is an increasingly authoritarian one. Oligarchs' dominance of our economies and politics is reducing life choices for billions of citizens of this planet. Their dominance is increasing the uncertainty we all face. And as we will discuss later in the conference, this uncertainty contributes materially to the other existential challenges now facing our planet. So now I will turn this over to my colleague and co-founder of the Center, Valentina Rodriguez-Guerra.
Thanks, David. So here we are. What can you expect over the next 2 days? The conference is organized into 2 sections. On Saturday, today, we focused on understanding oligarchs, while on Sunday, our attention is on how to break the oligarchs' grip in our economies, politics, and societies. You will hear from a variety of speakers who will get us started on the dialogue that we hope will be the center of our exchange. That dialogue requires all of us to be disciplined, so a few rules. First, we operate by the Chatham House rule. That means everything is off the record, including participants and their comments. Next, when we get to Q&A, we are muting everyone and asking you to submit your questions or comments writing via the chat. The moderator will then select the questions to pose to the speakers. Please be brief. Please don't make inflammatory or uncivil statements. And finally, let us listen to one another. Even though oligarchs have existed through human history, and Greek philosophers like Plato and Aristotle got us started in thinking about them, there is a lot that we still don't know. Let us reason together over the next 2 days and begin to find a way forward. Thanks to our fellow organizers, George and Harris, for helping to make this happen, and to their colleagues, especially Konstantinos and Katerina, for doing the necessary work to get us here today. Thanks to our speakers in advance for their insights too. And thanks to each of you who are taking time on a weekend away from family, friends, and other obligations for caring enough to be part of this event. So let's get started.
Yes, and now we will have Mr. Papandreou for his remarks, former Prime Minister of Greece, President of the Papandreou Foundation, and also General Rapporteur for Democracy of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. Please, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Good day to all. First of all, thanks to the Mayor, Haris Lucas, for his vision and hosting us here. And of course to David Lingelbach and Valentina Rodriguez-Guerra for their work, their dedicated work. And now, of course, setting up the Center for the Study of Oligarchs, which I think is very pertinent and, of course, very exciting. And we don't want these dialogues to end here, but to spark a global conversation on oligarchy, on democracy, and on the societies we wish to build together. Over the last century, history has tested us through fascism, the Cold War, decolonization also, unfettered capitalist globalization, now the crisis of climate and technology. Yet a new danger looms, mentioned both by David and Valentina, a silent coup of wealth and influence that corrodes democracy from within. The normalization of oligarchic power is today one of the greatest democratic challenges of our time. Of course, this phenomenon is not new. Aristotle studied and characterized oligarchy as a corrupt or deviant form of government where power resides in the hands of a small number of individuals who rule in their own interest rather than the common good. What is new is the form of concentrated power in wealth and technology, whether of fossil fuels, pharmaceuticals, agribusiness, military, finance, or data. These are the new oligarchic empires. They have no borders, but they bend nations to their will. They're not elected, but often want to and can dictate to those who are. This is not the democracy our ancestors envisioned. The Greek idea of democracy, or demos and kratos, meant that power must never escape the people. But today power has migrated from parliaments to markets, from citizens to corporations, from the public to the private. And I witnessed this shift firsthand during the financial crisis. Democracy not subverted by coups, but by systems too big to control. And when wealth becomes power and power escapes accountability, then democracy becomes a facade. As we said earlier, the richest 1% own nearly half of the global wealth, and with it they purchase not only influence, but even impunity. They shape markets, own media, influence our minds. They also happen to be the biggest polluters of the planet, while billions struggle to breathe. And Aristotle also warned that when these systems serve the few, there is resentment and conflict that will follow, and we see this. We see oligarchies and authoritarianism feeding on each other, and that disillusionment in our societies produces demagogues and, of course, polarization, and finally conflict. And the new oligarchs of data deepen this, privatizing truth itself through algorithms that manipulate emotion simply for profit. But I want to end by simply saying this is not inevitable, and that's why we're here. It's a call to action. To confront oligarchic power, we must build a new architecture of democratic renewal. First of all, understand the oligarchs, their psychology, their networks, and transnational reach. We need to act globally, forging coalitions of governments, journalists, citizens, scholars, activists, an international league against oligarchy. We need to democratize wealth through new economic models, such as cooperatives, worker cooperatives, public benefit corporations, fair taxation, global taxation, so that capital serves our communities. And reclaim the digital agora so technology empowers and not enslaves. Actually, that's one reason why I proposed a fourth branch of government, a citizens' upper house, a deliberative e-agora, if you like, powered by participatory design, using AI for good, for democracy, enabling citizens to help shape the laws and priorities that govern their lives. So finally, our struggle is not against individuals, but against a system of domination. Even Eisenhower warned, concentrated power, the military-economic complex, will always threaten liberty if left unchecked. And democracy, as the mayor said, lives through vigilant, courageous citizens. So let these Athens dialogues be more than a critique of power. Let them be a renewal of hope. From this city, where democracy was born, let us begin again to reimagine it so that it may be reborn. Thank you, and good luck and all the success for this very, very important and pertinent conference.
Great, thank you very much to all our speakers. This marks the end of our opening session that you had the chance to watch online through YouTube. So thank you, and we'll have a short interruption for our next session to start.